Hey guys, I thought I'd try to do a health update here while I'm waiting on Ryan. I'm just looking at my skin. I think it's actually getting better. So I tried lots of different antifungals, but Ryan got one it's called Viaderm KC. And it's antifungal, antibacterial, and has a steroid in it. So I think that's what was actually making this improve. And then my doctor said, oh, you don't want to use that on your face for more than a week because it thins your skin. So he gave me a different antifungal, which I've switched to, but I almost wonder if I'm like losing momentum now. I don't know. Hard to say. So that I think is different than this. See this? I think I might actually have vitiligo, guys. It's a quote autoimmune. You're done? Autoimmune condition. I got one on my calf, one start on my toe knuckle, my finger knuckle. My brother and my nephew have vitiligo, so I think it's that. There's no dermatologists on Vancouver Island that are taking inpatients. Actually, there was one that was at minimum 2-year wait list. Lots in Vancouver really quick, so I'm going to get one in Vancouver. Not that I know I'm going to go there, but so that was that. They had another thing called Derm Cafe. If you're the prompts told me I need to see one in person. So I think if you already have a diagnosis, you could use this online thing. But anyway, so that condition started after I used a biologic. And I also have like little red dots that happened, like blood vessels that burst after each surgery. They have compounded. Like I never had them, and then first surgery I had a whole bunch of them, and then second surgery I had a whole bunch more. That's not really a big deal. The vitiligo can spread. I mean, it's not painful or anything, and hey, so what? You look like a leopard. Anyway, the fungal thing is more concerning to me, just actually the root cause of it, because I actually was reading a recent book where it's called Resolution. When I was doing hyperbaric oxygen chamber just to kind of help the wound healing of my surgery, and the whole thing was that by a doctor, kind of the ignored root cause of cancer being maybe not in every case, but like a massive thing that's overlooked is underlying fungal conditions. So anyway, that's kind of a side note, but yeah, so skin is, one thing, my minor hiccup, and somehow my gut, it's been a bit of, healing's not totally linear. I don't know if you want to call it like or speed bumps or whatever, but you're just kind of dialing in what works for you again, and it's just a moving target. So I do feel like I'm figuring that out. I've had I've been Herxheimer reaction. Had some herx here and there, but I don't even really want to talk tons about that because it's just tiring, and I'm moving forward, not backwards. But the good news is I do think I'm winning, because part of winning is figuring out what works, and the outcome for me right now is just that I spiritually feel like I'm in a bit of I believe I'm in a Sabbath year. Now, maybe that's actually legit, because I had somebody else tell me that the Spirit of God just told them that. So I was like, oh, that's bizarre, because I got at Passover, I got benched at Passover because of my liver, some stent work that got done, which was the beginning of the year. And so I was like, wow, so maybe this year really is, all this calendar talk and going to NASA calendars and trying to figure out when the Jubilee is. And I have no idea, maybe it's legit. But, and if it's not, it's just at least for me and maybe this other person. But it's a year of rest. And so a lot less commitments, kind of just a lot more leaving room for what the Spirit would have me do and not do. I do have plans for tabernacles. That's one commitment. Obviously it could be canceled, but mostly, there's this or that things that I have said, and the proverb says, I think, whether it's a wise man or whoever, they keep their own word to their own hurt. So I have a couple things that had been established. They're minor. Besides from tabernacles, they're just like little minor engagements. But yeah, I'm just not really signing up for much. Ryan's being a trooper and pulling the weight with the kids doing stuff. They're gonna do he's doing like camping with the littles and the middles and the olders, kind of separate, and kind of a fun change up. So yeah, my plan this year is to calm and rest and shalom my spiritual self and emotional self and physical self, and one more time listening, and it's good. I'm gonna get a lot of feed time, and draw away time, and it's really healthy. So I'm really looking forward to what the Spirit of God would like to say to me this year and show me, and so go a little deeper and just kind of unplug a bit. I turned off a lot of social stuff and notifications, and it's been nice. So I'm enjoying it, actually. My liver is probably, actually, it's weird. It's kind of become the most confusing, weird thing at this point. I do have an interventional radiologist who was so kind. I don't think he's typically somebody that ends up on someone's medical team, but he's mine, and he called and he gave me a inside scoop how to get a hold of him, so I can call him anytime and contact him anytime. And he went, meticulously through everything. I mean, an under 1 percentile, they've never seen what's going on. I have no scarring. Enzymes are normal. But all the blood vessels are restricted. But what they couldn't answer me was what came first, the sinusoid, so like the kind of the flesh of the liver where the littlest vessels are, did those restrict first before the main veins, or did the main veins, the left hepatic veins, okay, but did the main veins restrict first and cause the sinusoidal dilatation? I was saying dilatation to restrict. So the chicken or the egg. And unless they have another biopsy, the interventional radiologist said he actually couldn't answer that. So I said, well, next time, God forbid you ever are in there, get a little biopsy, because maybe the sinusoids have actually healed, but maybe not, because maybe that's why the veins keep narrowing, is because the pressure of the sinusoids on the veins. So we don't know like which one's causing which, basically, right? But if it was the veins that are the actual problem, and they've been stented open, then it would seem that the sinusoids would recover. And if that's true, then I'd like to know if my sinusoids recovered, right? It's kind of interesting. So, my hepatologist, the liver specialist, he said that, you're relying on metal, a couple pieces of metal here, and so they want to keep a close eye. They actually want me to drive down to the tip of the island every 3 months, a couple hour drive each way, to monitor it, because if it collapses or this or that, at some point I might just go with my gut on that. I don't know, because you do have symptoms if the thing collapses, so I'm not sure I need to drive down there, but I'm just still trying to iron out my understanding a bit, so I might go a couple times. I did go once so far, and it was good. So yeah, the interventional radiologist said there's enough space for him to stent it one more time, but hopefully, because the shunt, I guess it wasn't the same thing as the stents, because the stents went into the veins and the shunt was a bypass, from one vein to another. So, but that only really lasted a year before they needed to stent. So, but hopefully the stents could get, if I got like a long time out of the stent, sometimes they'll say, oh, crown is supposed to last 5 to 10 years or something. And then I meet people there, they've had crowns in their mouths for 35 years. So I'm going with odd, I'm going to beat the odds here, Lord willing. So that would be nice. But, they could stent it one more time. I said, why didn't you just balloon it? He said, well, in theory, you would have thought so, but I was awake, and it wasn't dropping with just ballooning it. And he said the problem with ballooning it anyway without putting the stent in is it can just close right back up, and then we have to do the whole procedure again. He said, so their standard is to stent it. So, yeah, it's just a really weird situation. And I was told it's anybody that has these procedures done, it's usually 2 to 6 years and they end up with a liver transplant. But we're talking about people that have, their liver is actually malfunctioning and the rest of my liver is pristine. So I don't know that's the case. Ryan's back again. I mean, that's kind of it for my health.